Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A big welcome from Kohler Bold Art to a PechaKucha evening with 5 leading architects from Pune. Since 1873, Kohler has been innovating design for over 142 years now. So in keeping with the company's tradition of supporting and being involved in the arts, tonight too, we celebrate design. At the Kohler Bold Art tonight, we host a dialogue between leading designers and architects, and of course, all of you. So, to make things interesting and simple, PechaKucha, our format, has artists show just 20 images, each for 20 seconds. And at the end of 20 slides, you would have heard all that the artist wanted to share with you. Before I introduce our featured architects tonight, I'd like to invite the Managing Director of Kohler Kitchen and Bath India and Sub-Saharan Africa, Mr. Salil Sadanandan, to make a brief presentation in the PechaKucha format. So Salil Sadanandan.
Hi, good evening. I just want to thank all of you to be here with us. So, not one hand is raised in this room, and I would therefore assume that the standards here are pretty high already. So please be nice to me, and I'll tell you about how people like me look at life. I'm going to play you a snatch of a tune. I think all you creative guys, perhaps more knowledgeable about music, recognize it as I think all you creative guys, perhaps more knowledgeable about music, recognize it as Carmina Burana by Karl Orff. All I remember is that buff fellow in the Old Spice ad. So anyway, I didn't get it at all. So I said, let's go to Barcelona, the center of art, architecture and culture. Maybe something will seep into me. And my first stop was Picasso's museum. And I looked at all the bizarre cubism on display, and I just didn't get it. Till I spotted this piece of art in one corner, very euphemistically titled erotic art. And it said this is what he used to do as a young man, and I said, hey, that I can relate to. So I think you can see that I'm very different from all of you folks. The funny thing is that in my entire life I've been surrounded by very creative people. These are people who get inspired and excited by mundane, everyday objects. Take, for instance, the bathroom. For me, an absolutely purely functional space. You go in, you do your business, you get out. But I must tell you that even today, when I push past a construction site, here is how my mind works. I say 50 floors, 5 towers, 10 flats in each floor, 3 bathrooms in each flat. That's 7,500 bathrooms, and I call my sales guy, hey, have you gone to the architect and made a pitch for Kohler? But I just want to end and say that I'm a work in progress. I think I'm evolving, and I'm going to end this presentation on a desperately serious and somber note. Bazinga.
Bazinga indeed. So let's get the Kohler PechaKucha Bold Art Show on, and we'll begin with Amla Shape.
Hi everybody, I'm Amla Shape. I recall my partner and me were sitting at the base of a hill with a sketchbook, and the client said, you know, I want to build a club over here. And today it is what we know as the Corinthian Club. That project is extremely dear to both of us because our sensibilities were touched. It of course started as a club, but then went on to become a much, much larger entity. And when you're designing a dynamic space for people, what you need to introduce into it is drama. You need to introduce passion and a lot of unreal stuff. Because when people go there, they want to forget reality. So to infuse that kind of experience in a physical entity was a very interesting process for us. Namaskar. Since PechaKucha delightfully means chit-chat, I'm going to do just that. I have always believed that one can fall in love with more than one entity. That's the beauty of life. It offers so much, and it's ours to take. As a child, my dream was to become a scientist. I marveled at inventions, and for me they translated into life changers. Growing up in a middle-class family in Girgaon, the heart of Mumbai, my early years were very eventful, very colorful, and I was exposed to many humble facets of life, mostly family, tradition, culture. Every evening after dinner, it was music time. Squatting on the old, partly cracked mosaics, my sister and I sang with my father as he slid his deft fingers across an almost antiquated harmonium. When I was 14, after a stint with the violin and Western classical music initiated by a very colonized aunt, I was introduced to Hindustani classical music. Every evening at the Bharati Vidya Bhavan in Mumbai was an experience. A few architecture students were also studying music with me, and one evening over cutting chai, one of them said, "Architecture is frozen music and music is liquid architecture." That struck a chord which kept turning in my mind. And then, of course, I took the plunge into a realm I knew absolutely nothing about. Armored attire, endless cups of tea, and sleepless nights. It seemed as if one's life would begin and end in those dingy corridors of the campus. Through this seeming ordeal, I kept my connect with music, and my acid test was that rendition of Ghulam Ali's Ranjishi Sahi at NASA in 1983. In 1989, in Pune, I met Anand, my partner, and our design studio was born. It's been 25 years of abundant excitement and opportunities. And finally, I humbly believe it's not for us to speak about our creations. It's for those who spend most of their lives within it. Can they experience the rhythm? Can they hear the music? Only time will tell. Thank you.
Thank you, Amla. You like the music that she creates?
Is there any architect or designer, living or dead, international or Indian, who has actually inspired you as well subsequently, if there's one name you had to take?
When I started learning Indian classical music, my guru, he taught me how music was actually architecture. That, when you had an alap and you kind of rendered it and you put in body into a skeleton, then it became a full rendition. And it's the same way I've kind of picked up, a lot of ideas, a lot of energy from different architects from across the globe to inspire me in doing what I'm doing today.
Thank you, Amla.
Thank you so much.
Next up is Girish Doshi of Navkar.
I'm architect Girish Doshi. We are sitting in Brick School of Architecture. This building I designed about 3 years ago. After doing the building, they requested me to head the institute. So I am design chair here. As you see, this building is a very unique structure in terms of roof. Roof is almost used as a fifth elevation. There is two kinds of spaces here. One is large scale like institutional spaces. At the same time, there are very intimate small spaces like small courtyard where faculty and director's room open. So at one go, we are trying to do two things here. One, intimate space, and at the same time, institutional level, larger spaces. So I think that is the success of this particular building. Namaskar Punekar. As you see behind, this card came to me from Kohler showing Pune as 0 kilometer. Then I started thinking about Pune as I see it. So I will start story from Tamil Mess in Rastapet as I spent my early childhood behind Rastevada. It is run by Tamil cooperative. This Tamil woman and her family looks after this very nice family place. Once people come there and eat their ghee roast dosa, they become lifelong partner of that Tamil family. Pabya used to take me to Prabha Vishranti Griha opposite Kesri Wada. Pabya will tell newcomer to ask the owner, "Tumi chutney ka nahi deto?" He will say, owner will say, "Are aad ghatli hai na, khaun tar bhag." At Appa, there is this story of ST. There is a gentleman called Sanjeev Tatke who always used to harass Appa for half sabudana khichdi or single idli. So now it is custom at Appa that if you want anything half, you have to ask for ST. Shri, are ek ST khichdi de na. Rupali is place where somebody says, yesterday I was in Delhi and told Manya, "Are jara deshakade bhag." You will be wondering who this Manya is, but it is very simple. When you are in Rupali, it is Manmohan Singh ji, our ex-Prime Minister. Same about Sharia, that is Sharad Pawar ji. Cafe Good Luck is one of the oldest Irani restaurant in combination with Lucky Restaurant, where Devanand, the actor, or Balkrishna Doshi, the architect, used to sit and have their Irani chai with bun maska. There is an interesting story about Good Luck Cafe. In olden days, if Brahmin boy was seen eating an omelette there, by the evening half of the Prabhat Road will know that Josisa Mulga titha disla hota. I had a great moment in my life when I could take master architect Charles Correa to eat 35 rupees Konkani thali, which he really loved. I cannot imagine my everyday life without going to Rupali twice for a hot cup of filter coffee. More than coffee, when you merge with common people, putting your ego aside, stories of their lives for sure will bring different kind of flavor to architecture or your chosen field. Lastly, I would like to say that I am a proud Punekar. Pune tithe kai une. Thank you.
I think it's a beautiful event, short and sweet, sends the message directly. And what was nice about this particular event organized by Kohler was that it did bring the emotions out of the people, both at the audience level as well as the speakers. So I really enjoyed it.
The best part about it is everybody talks about Pune and what are the problems happening in the city and how we need to, as an architect, need to take care of it. So I loved that part, especially with Manish and Izaz put up the concept of how architects and architecture is responsible for making the city good, and the way we should start working on together to rectify all the troubles happening in the city.
For your right to save big.
We move on to Manish Bank. Tonight, Manish is going to be sharing something on the lines of what Girish shared with us, but it's going to be in his own way. He's calling it My City, My Dream. So please welcome Manish Bank.
I'm Manish Bank. We designed a house in Jodhpur. Being based in Pune, attuned to the Pune's climate and making project far more sustainable within the contextual parameters was a challenge. We took a challenge to avoid air conditioning in Jodhpur and apply system which would work as a passive cooling, so that in the worst condition of a winter, the house will remain warm, where in the summer, house will remain cool. So in this case, we applied stone walls and stone slabs and avoided concrete. We used only lime instead of cement to use as a primary mortar material to bond the stones. So by that, we developed the arches. And I think that was a very unique thing we could learn by doing the project.
Yes, good evening, friends. I think I could see the people coming late in the hall. I'm sure that many people must have faced challenge to pass through the chaotic traffic of a city. I think I could see the people coming late in the hall. I'm sure that many people must have faced challenge to pass through the chaotic traffic of a city. I find that we are getting almost used to these conditions day by day. We almost become blind to this our own city, though we pass through every day. As I see, my city is almost crying helplessly. No one seems to be owner. Ownership is completely missing. On one side, we claim that we are connected with this world digitally, but I see we are far more distracted. We are far more distracted and disoriented with our own actual real world. We have a lot of information to gather, but few knowledge to apply. On one side, we have high aspirations to meet, but if you look at the ground reality, they seem to be completely contradictory. And look at the pictures, they portray so many things which we are losing. Should we allow our city to cry and die? Can we stop being parasites and abusing our own city? You can see the rivers being flowed with the sewages. Imagine if we have half of our city's population working for 10 days a year we can have and generate more than 150,000 people working towards city development and betterment. I find the solutions are already around us. Let's be celebrities ourselves to drive and support such social movement.
We started with Amla, who brought in a lot of music. Our next presenter is also trained in Carnatic music, and she loves to travel and to read. Usha Rangarajan will share with us the influences that have molded her design palette in as she sees it.
I'm architect Usha Rangarajan. One project which was a sort of game changer for me. So this is a public building that probably is not an architectural marvel, but it's a building which is very unlike a government building. You know, one thing is that the building is totally designed for daylight, for cross ventilation, and I was also able to, for the first time, I got the freedom to work on such a big plot. So the building has turned out quite sculpturesque. So that's something I'm proud of. On a much less somber note, reading books and drinking tea are two of my favorite things to do. As a student, I read a book on design that was unlike any other that I'd read. The Timeless Way of Building by Christopher Alexander says that the search for this quality is a search for all those moments and situations when you're the most alive. Perhaps due to my affinity for books and tea, the following passage from the book has remained my personal benchmark for what works for me. Imagine yourself on a winter afternoon with a pot of tea, a book, a reading light, and 2 or 3 huge pillows to lean back against. Now make yourself comfortable. Not in some way which you can show to other people and say how much you like it. I mean so that you really like it for yourself. You put the tea where you can reach it, but in a place where you can't knock it over. You pull the light down to shine on the book, but not too brightly. Imagine this scenario for yourself. When you take the trouble to do all that and you do it carefully with much attention, then it may begin to have the quality which has no name. To me, spaces, especially the verandas, have always held this quality. Be it the traditional tin-eyes of the South Indian homes or the generously proportioned verandas of colonial-era bungalows. Well, this is a veranda from yesteryears, which was part of a 100-year-old colonial bungalow that my aunt's family was fortunate to live in. And this is a painting by me. In spite of its questionable quality, it's a picture that's much treasured by our family for the memories of the quality of time that we spent in this veranda. I designed my own studio about 11 years ago. It's in a ground floor flat, and it turned out so much like a veranda that I've had people coming and telling me, you've converted a parking space very well into an office. So that's it. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Ejaz Hakim, a principal at Ejaz Hakim Architect, and he is really the ace in the pack, as it were. He's going to take us on a journey that how he sees architecture and through his eyes only. So it's called Lipstick on a Pig.
Hi, my name is Ejaz Hakim. We've just completed a house. I gained my architectural license about 25-30 years ago. And this was my first architectural project. So you can call me a fresh old man. This was the first time I got an opportunity to do everything from zero. And the client really gave me carte blanche treatment. And I'm really happy about the outcome of the house. As I see it, I thought I should tell you about this curse. The curse that kills me, and at the same time it keeps me alive. It's called architecture. The way architecture started a long time ago, it was considered a noble profession. My take on this is, it was noble because the kings and the nobles practiced it. It's just that simple. There's nothing noble about it. Then these guys decided to wage a holy war. And they needed somebody to take over architecture. So they handed over the mantle of architecture to these guys. Who were these guys? Men who inspired, really. Men who were skilled in science, geometries, blah, 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 so on and so forth. They practiced architecture similar to a monk practicing his faith. But they carried the responsibility on them that God, country, and king gave them. The more the time passed, the more these guys built. And the more they gained control. Yeah, buddy. Then there was an eye-opener. The Industrial Revolution started. It gave birth to a new breed of architects. They involved the use of machinery. They involved new design methods. The industrial age matured and brought in modern architecture, as we've all learned it. The Crystal Palace. The modern architects created their own style based on their background. They developed new materials. There was no concrete before this. They developed concrete. But make no mistake, they understood their responsibility towards architecture. They weren't kidding me. Then came the age of reduction. The population increased, demands grew, architecture deviated. Welcome to my world. We started production of buildings. Today, I feel, as an architect, that the role of an architect is similar to applying lipstick on a pig. We now come to tomorrow, which is the age of inclusion. This is the most exciting time of mankind. Architect does not belong in a pig farm. Architecture cannot be harvested. I think we need to start thinking about collaborating, like Manish said. We need to be in the center of a group of sparkling individuals. We need to be carefree. We need to be unafraid. That's the end of my 20 seconds for 20 slides. And I want to thank all you guys for going through my collection of dead architects.
We've almost come to the close of this evening. I have just one more person who'd like to say a few words to you, and I'd like to call him now. He leads business development at Kohler, and he is Mr. Parveen Gupta.
You've been a wonderful audience, and the credit goes all to the presentations and to the speakers. These were presentations that were not there to impress, but they really moved us all. So a huge round of applause for all this.
They take us into a different level of lateral thinking while doing your profession, and it was really a mesmerizing session, and it was really eye-opening and probably making us think a little on a different track and making things much better.